Good Tuesday evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you on this McFiles very special Tuesday night. We are always grateful to have new guests with us, and we've got two folks from the beautiful state of Ohio, the Buckeye State. I will not even ask them who they're rooting for in college football because I already know. But and I saw Jason Rankin come into the house. I want to thank Jason for introducing us to Richard and Therese Borgerding. Did I get that right? Oh, they just fell out on their chair. I've been mispronouncing their name all week. But we're good to have Richard and Teresa. They got a story to tell you tonight, and I think you all are going to be our first guest. We've been trying to get some folks that were directly involved in J6 and some of the injustice that was done there, and so you all are our first official J6ers that we've had on the show. We've had a couple of people that have talked about J6, but nobody directly involved in it until tonight. And really, to be frank with you, this is the first time a lot of people have been free to talk about it because they were censoring people like crazy. We couldn't talk about it without getting your channel yanked for almost 3 or 4 years now. So it's good that we can at least discuss it and tell people what really went on. But I want to welcome you both to our program tonight. We're grateful to have you, and great to have you on a McFiles Tuesday night, my friends. Good to see y'all.
Well, thank you for having us. I'm Richard Borgerding.
I'm Therese Borgerding.
And as Christopher was saying, that we are J6ers. And I want to put a shout out to everybody here. I appreciate you guys having us to tell our story. Because it is tough to get the story out. And we greatly appreciate it. And grace of God led us to you through some friends, and here we are.
Yep.
So I appreciate that.
Well, I will not hold it against you that you know Jason Rankin. I'll just leave it at that.
Jason's a great guy.
I know he is. I have to give him jazz, though. We met Jason in Dayton. They came. If it wouldn't been for Jason and his wife, we wouldn't have nobody come to Dayton except one other person. And so we're grateful for Jason. But anyway, we're grateful to have you, Teresa. I want to start with you first because this really affected you. And you gave me the details, but I'm going to let you take us. You all were in D.C. I was in D.C. at J6. I just wasn't downtown. I was with some folks. We were doing our podcast, and in fact, that morning I remember standing in the frigid cold. No, Jason Miller and me. Jason was with me that morning. We froze to death listening to President Trump. I remember that day like it was yesterday. It was cold, but I wasn't feeling. I knew there was something off about what was going on down at the Capitol, and I'm not going to get into if people should have went or not. That's not what we're here to talk about, because I think what the government did at the time, the Biden administration did coming in that day, has been the most criminal abuse of power with the DOJ I've ever seen. And to watch the news media call this an insurrection has been insulting. It has been, the media has been complicit in this, the left, and a lot of innocent people have been hurt by this. And I got my own thoughts about that, but I want you to take us to that day in J6, and then we're going to carry folks into you said that all this really, the nightmare really began July 28th of 2021. That's when they officially came and arrested you, and we'll let you tell the story from here. Tell us what happened to you on J6, and then take us through July 20 of 21.
Okay, so when we got there on January 6th, we were on the east side of the Supreme Court.
Right.
And it was a early morning. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning we got there. The sun was just coming up. It was beautiful. It was very peaceful all day long. It was like a prayer meeting. There was all denominations of Christians everywhere. You had nuns, you had preachers, you had everyone.
Yeah.
People came with big crosses. We were praying by the crosses, and it was very peaceful. Then I'm going to have my husband jump in too, if you don't mind.
Anytime, Richard. When I say Teresa, I'm talking to both of you. So however y'all want to talk, you just tell us your story, and that's fine with me. It doesn't matter which one of you talk. It's fine.
Yeah. So we were there, and like I say, all morning was like a prayer meeting. It was so amazing how everybody was joining hands. It didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter who you are. And the thing is like people asked us, says, do you wish you didn't go? And I said, I'm glad I went. And the reason why is there's something in our Constitution, what they call the First Amendment, that a lot of people forget. And that gives us a right to speak up. And we went there for a rally, a peaceful rally.
Right.
That's right. We had a peaceful rally where the reason why we're on the east side was there's supposed to be some guest speakers right where we are at. But we were right there in the middle of the Capitol building. You'll see the big steps that goes up, and you got the big, huge doors. We were right there at that gate, and there's a big light post behind us. And it's easy to see Teresa because you see this big sign here she was carrying, the big, huge sign. And I noticed several people here that may agree or disagree with you, and that's okay. That's fine. We're okay with that.
If you got the story right.
Yeah. So anyways, roughly 2 o'clock, about 1 o'clock, I noticed a bunch of cameras, news cameras getting put up behind us. I thought that was odd. And then I looked over the side, and there's a bunch of buses were pulling up on it would have been a south side, big white Greyhound-sized buses that were pulling up, and all these people were getting off the buses, and they were dressed with drunk gear, and I was thinking maybe the special guest of some sort. I didn't know who they were, but they were pretty far off, but it looked like they had some stuff in their hands and all that. And then a little bit later, I looked over, and I see this guy with the club beating a bunch of camera gear. And I'm thinking, as all this camera gear is put in a pile, and he's beating the camera gear, and all these news people were filming him beating his camera gear. And I couldn't figure that out. And it's like, what is going on there? So anyway, we didn't think anything of it. We just stood there, and it was cold. Like you said, it was very, very cold. Well, then it was roughly, I want to say around about 2 o'clock, I think it was. I looked down about 200 yards. There's an incident that happened in front of us that we're not going to go into detail. They tried to get the crowd riled up for some reason. Some lady played that she was injured.
When you say they, no, I'm not. I may interrupt you at times, but you keep going. When you say they, are you talking about the media, or who was they?
There was an incident in front of us that they made it look like it was a fight.
Okay.
And this lady acted like she had
inside the gated area.
I got you.
This inside gated area. Well, the gates got were opened up right there, and this couple was right there. The gates wide open. Nobody was going in. Everybody's staying peaceful. And this lady sitting on the ground holding her ankle. They brought an ambulance over. They treated her. No big deal. And then she gave this police officer a hug. And then the guy, her husband, boyfriend, whatever, he gave this police officer a hug. And I talked to many police officers, and they said, if we don't know you and I'm in uniform, you're not getting a hug from us. So they're sitting there, they knew each other. Then all the officers that saw our videos and stuff like that said they had to have known each other, because there's no way you're going to have a stranger when you got a gun on you, they're going to hug you.
Knowing what we know now, we know they were actors.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So then I looked down, and it's about 200 yards. No, about 200 yards down that way. Not even that long, but I noticed there's a lot of rustling going on, and then all of a sudden the gates started opening up.
Now, when you say gates, you're talking about to the Capitol.
Yes,
Bicycle
the bicycle.
I've been there. I know where you're talking. I know exactly where you're talking about. Go ahead.
And there was no restriction signs anywhere on the bike racks.
Okay.
So it looked to us that the police officers were pulling open the gates, and people were just peacefully walking in and just walking onto the grounds. Right before then, though, I had the backup. I'm sorry, I kind of missed my step there. The vice president motorcade was right there, okay, right before the gates were opened up. And they brought in pallets and pallets and pallets of water.
Water bottles.
I mean, huge pallets full of water.
As tall as you could get them.
And it was a good, 20 feet of pallet of water. And then the motorcade quickly ran out. They quickly left, and that's when the gates started opening up, and then people peacefully were walking towards the steps. Therese and I were standing there. Now, Therese's hand was on the gate, the bike rack. She's like, didn't know what's going on.
I was there all day.
Yeah, and then two guys came up on each side of her, and they opened the gate. And then they went in around her, and then she's like, and then people went in right where she's at. And then she's like, okay. Everybody's going in, so they made it look like it's open to the public now. And so
they were waving us in.
Yeah.
Come on in.
So she went on in, and then I went in. I walked up to 4 police officers, Capitol police officers, and asked them, "What's going on?" And he said, "It's your house going up."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me pause you right here. I got a question for you because this is where the media has twisted this, and they swear up and down. Some have at least that people just barged into the Capitol, they broke the glass, they did this. But what you're telling me is what I've heard from most J6ers, that the Capitol Police were more than willing to let the people into the Capitol that day. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's what I want to make sure we get on the record, because that makes a big deal, because that's a lot different than this so-called insurrection where people were trying to storm the Capitol. All right, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to get this in perspective, because it makes a difference in the narrative that we've been hearing for 4 years from the Dems.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Right.
Keep going.
So you got up to the steps. Now tell what happened.
I had my sign. I go out to the steps, and there's a chain link fence. Okay. It's just like a rope fence. And everybody just stood right there. Nobody went up the stairs or anything. And the police officers were like, Capitol Police were like, "Come on, you can come on up." And we're respectful. We just stood there and waited. We weren't going up the steps because it was like closed off. So then he took the rope fence off, and he still waved everybody up, or the police officer, I'm sorry, and nobody would go up. And finally he said, "Come on, it's your house. You can come on up. It's okay." Then everybody started going up. So then we went up to the top, and we turned around and looked all the way down the street. You could see thousands and thousands of people walking down that road. It was like so beautiful. And then we all were singing the national anthem, "God Bless America." It was just the most beautiful thing ever. Mm-hmm. But they don't show that, the media.
They never did.
And right next to us, right, just, you look over and there's a whole bunch of nuns, all their habits and all that, over there singing along, having a great old time. Everybody was just having a good time. And then suddenly, I was facing towards the Capitol building. I have my back facing down the steps. And all of a sudden, there's like 8 Capitol police officers in riot gears running up the steps. And they tapped me on the shoulder, and they said, "Excuse me, sir." And I turned around, and I said, "Yeah." And they said, "We need to get through." I said, "Oh, yes, sir." And I had my American disabled, my veterans disabled hat on. And they looked at me and said, "Oh, you're a veteran?" And I said, "Yes, sir." The first guy shook my hand. 3 of those guys shook my hand for thanking me for my service. And I thought that was odd. If there's something emergency going on and he had the time to shake my hand, I thought that was odd. So they went on up and disappeared, and we just sat there. And then all of a sudden we heard a flashbang. Do you know what a flashbang is? It's a device, for the people that don't know. It creates a very loud explosion noise. Mm-hmm. We don't know who set that off. We don't know what's going on. We had no clue.
We didn't know this was going to happen. We're just up there singing the national anthem.
We thought that we were in a legal area. They presented that we're there legally. Everything's fine. Then the doors opened up. Now, we did some research on the doors, and the research that we heard is that each door weighs like 14,000 pounds. My figures may be off a little bit, but they're very, very heavy. Those big, huge metal doors. What we've been told is that they're magnetically locked. And the only way you're going to unlock those is a Capitol police officer has to put a code in.
Right.
So inside, there's a video showing somebody dressed in Trump gear trying to push the door open.
From the inside.
From the inside. Then they're waving at the security camera. Then they go back and push the door again. It wouldn't open. Then they waved at the security camera again, pointed to the door, and then the door opened up. So that's when the door opened up, and that's when people started coming in.
Okay, and when you say the people, you're talking about the protesters, the one that was there peaceably, because what I'm hearing so far is that this was not some kind, as the media has portrayed it, people were banging and busting the glass down, waiting to get in the Capitol. It was all outside. I've stood on those steps. I know exactly where you were standing. I know where you was at the Supreme Court, because I had been to events, and usually it's there where whenever the guest speakers come from the conservative movement, I know exactly almost where that you were at, even at the Supreme Court on that east side. And but this is the question I got for you. Do you believe from y'all were there, that all of this was a setup and staged, and these actors, these buses of people that you saw being bussed in, were being bussed in by activist groups and on the left to basically make the MAGA movement look like they were just a bunch of thugs and crooks.
Yes, 100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
No doubt in our mind.
And the way I look at it now, I do fully feel that the Capitol Police were involved in letting this happen.
Well, the Capitol Police are culpable in this, and I've got no problem saying that. Look, I'm pro-police and I'm pro-law enforcement,
Yes, yeah, we
but
are
the
too.
Capitol
Yeah, we are.
Police were the fuse that was lit, and they were basically at the director of that mayor, and they were at the director of these left-wing Democrats to do it. And I don't have no problem saying that tonight. I just believe Nancy Pelosi was behind all of it. They knew this was happening. I do want to ask y'all a couple of questions about Ashley Babbitt. Were y'all there when she got shot?
We were there, but we didn't know anything about it until
We were ready to leave.
we were ready to leave. So
When we heard
weren't.
somebody got shot, we didn't know.
We didn't know here. We didn't. Yeah, it was pretty much towards the end when we heard anything about her.
Okay. Did anybody approach you all from the police and say, y'all shouldn't be here, this is illegal, you shouldn't be here on the property, you shouldn't be going in? And I got to say this, I want to just state it like this. I do not condone. I know that there was glass busted, and I know some folks that went into the Capitol, sat in the seats, and went into that Capitol and did some things they just shouldn't have done. And I remember standing there in the cold of D.C. that morning when President Trump, and he clearly told the people, he said, go and protest peaceably. Okay? And that's what people should have done. You all protested peaceably, and you still got your life basically destroyed because of it. But this is what makes this so bad, because they use this to twist it to where everybody was doing the busting of glass and everybody was causing an insurrection, which that is not true. It's always been a lie. It's always been a lie of the left. But y'all yourself, the Borgerdings, y'all basically did not have anybody come up to you during this time and say, hey, y'all are not doing something you should be doing here.
No.
Is that right?
When I was in the Capitol, I had the Capitol Police help me down the stairs because I was kind of tripping on my Trump flag I had on me.
Okay.
And the one said, "Oh, I'll help you," and the other, and two of them did. They helped me down here. We'll help. You know, they helped us down there. They had plenty of chances to tell us.
Okay. Did y'all see them tell anybody else that?
I did not go in, and the reason why I did not go in is because I had a broken neck at the time.
Okay.
And I was due for surgery. So I felt I'd be better off to stay outside, because there was a little bit, people were getting excited in there, and to me it looked like a rowdy 8th grade field trip.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, a rowdy 8th grade field trip, though, is not an insurrection. And
It really wasn't that rowdy.
And Richard and Teresa, I'm just going to say this on record tonight. Look, I remember while we were there on J6, people forget, we felt like on the right that election of 2020 was stolen. We were upset about it. We were just trying to express our displeasure at how we believe that the Dems use these mail-in ballots, they use these voting machines, they use the fraud in some of these blue states. Look, I was covering the election that night. I went to bed. We stayed up with our panel that night till 2 o'clock in the morning. And Trump was leading in my home state of Georgia. He was leading in Wisconsin. He was leading in Pennsylvania. That's why we called the night short. I felt like, well, looks like he's ahead. We should be okay. And, we had some people that just couldn't stay with us all night. And I wasn't about to stay up there till the next morning. But when I got back up the next day, I'm going to tell you something. In November of 2020, all of those states that he was leading in, where it was solid red on the map, and I'm not talking small margins. I'm talking 50, 60, 70,000 votes or more. And all of a sudden, how did you go from being 160,000 votes up the night of the election, and you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden you're 30,000 ballots in the hole? Now, we're just South Georgia people here. You all are Ohioans. That's why I love you Buckeyes, and I used to live in the Ohio State. We just got common sense. We're just common sense folks down south, and you Buckeyes have got common sense. And when something don't smell right, we just it don't feel right, and it didn't feel right that day. And we had a right. We had a right to question the election. Questioning an election is not criminal. And President Trump had a right to question it. We had a right to question it.
Yes.
As long as we did it peaceably. And I will argue to my grave that the J6ers, for the most part, there was a few nincompoops in that group.
Oh, there was. Yeah.
But I will tell you, for the most part, it was a peaceful protest to say we do not believe this election was fair. There is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And they turned it. That's why we were there. And I think we need to, that's one thing that I think has been lost in all of this argument as to why we were there. We weren't trying to subvert an election. We were trying to make an election that we felt was fraudulent get right and be corrected.
Yes.
Correct.
And I got to ask you about this. I'm going to ask you a question about Mike Pence. Do you believe that he betrayed the country in certifying that election, knowing good and well there were questions out there about this election?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Yes.
I mean, he's your neighbor to the west in Indiana. I
don't care where he's from.
I would have been fine. I would have been fine if he'd have just told them that day that, look, we need to delay this. I mean, I didn't want him to stop it, but we needed to delay it. And there were enough questions. Were there enough questions in y'all's mind? I don't think you'd have been there if you didn't believe that there were enough questions in our minds that all of us that were standing, and again, that day was so bitter cold. I mean, I'm telling, I've never... And I had 3 jackets on that morning. I was freezing. It was 20, 22 maybe even less than that. But the wind chilled and just the bone-chilling cold that we all stood in that day just to tell this country there is something wrong here and somebody needs to listen to us and check this. Is that a fair assessment of why we were there on J6?
Very fair, very fair. Because the First Amendment says we have the right and the responsibility to show our grievance against our elected leaders. So, and that's basically what we do, but peacefully. You got to do it peacefully. And so, moving on real quick, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I had a police officer standing by me. He had a big old bullhorn. Now, this guy was a happy, jolly guy. He got his big old bullhorn. He said, "All right, guys, I need everybody to settle down." He says, "It's cold out here. I know you guys want to go inside when it's nice and warm and all that stuff." And he says, "But we'll get you guys in there and just settle down." Now, she went on in. The doors opened up.
Okay.
And here's what I'm witness, and I'm really close to doors. I'm like 10 feet from the doors. So the main big front doors, big doors that's right in the middle of the Capitol. So outside. So people go in, and I can see a police officer bringing people in, and then there's a hand. And everybody stopped coming out. And then there's a group of people who were coming out. It was like it's like they're controlling how many people were in there. And I stood there for good, I'd say about 20 minutes watching this. And then she was already inside. So tell your part real quick that was inside.
So when I went inside, there were 3 nuns right to my left. And I went straight ahead, and where all the big statues. I've never been in there. It's beautiful. So of course I'm looking at everything. I'm like, wow. And we had 2 friends that came with us, and I'm like, Walt, what are you doing over there? And he's like, "Oh, I'm reading this plaque on this president. This is really interesting." I'm like, okay. So then on the really tall statue, now I know it's an actor, this guy hanging from the arm on one of those statues. And I'm a law-abiding citizen here, okay? Automatically I'm going to say, "Get down from there. We're not here for that. Get down now."
Yeah.
And he did get down. So then when I was done in there, we're just walking around looking, and I go down the hallway, and then all of a sudden, boom, all these guys are all around me. It looked like Antifa. They were all dressed different.
Not to interrupt you. Let me ask you that, because there has been reports by people that were there that they believe that Antifa and Black Lives Matter had infiltrated that crowd. Can y'all confirm that?
I
believe so.
I believe it, yes.
Yes,
yeah,
I
they
believe
were not,
so.
The people that were in there doing the pushing and shoving, breaking the windows, they were not the MAGA people. They were not the Trump supporters.
Fair enough.
We wouldn't do that. Trump supporters would not do that. The MAGA
They
people
did
would not
have
do that.
actors dressed up as Trump supporters, so they were doing that too.
Well, just to state it on the record tonight, and we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk with you at the end tonight a little bit, But the very fact that the cities of America are not being burned down tonight because they assassinated one of the most conservative, Christian, Christ-like teens and young men that we've ever had, a 31-year-old that was doing nothing but just trying to reach these young people for Christ and reach the young people for America. I haven't seen one single riot. I've not seen one single flame. I've not seen one single attack on a building and glass being broken. I've not seen people with black hoods walking down the street saying, kill everybody and blank America and this and that and the other. It's amazing how we on the right, we have prayed, we have held vigils, we have always done is celebrated his life. We have not threatened. We have not said anything. We have just simply, peaceably, quietly prayed to our God. You go back to 2020, which was the summer before all this took place, before 21. We had riots in this country that we have never seen by the same people that were doing this crap on J6. The same people.
We're the peaceful party. Okay?
Yes.
I'll agree with that. I will agree with that. I know that there are certain individuals, and I say individuals, that could have handled themselves better, but there was no insurrection on January the 6th in this nation. There's never was an insurrection. Is that fair enough?
I think when you saw all the damage and all the craziness, that was all planned. They are actors.
I think those
They were hired in to come in and do that.
Okay. All right. We've established.
We didn't get to see any of that. We didn't see anything broken. We didn't. I didn't.
Well, I was inside, and when I went down the hallway, I'm like, all these guys came on me, and I was like, man, I'm ready to get out of here. So I turned around to look for a door. I couldn't find a door. So I saw this lady go through a window. And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that.
Okay.
So I went up to the window. And of course, I'm looking for broken glass. There was no glass in the pane at all. There was no glass inside or outside that window. So I went through that window.
It was a big window.
But it was a huge window. Yeah. And somebody took the glass out of that window.
Okay. All right. Now, we've pretty much covered what happened to y'all on that day. Mm-hmm. That was not the end of this. Tell me from the time, that was January 6, 2021. Huh? When was the first time, Theresa, that, because evidently they had you on camera or something, because when did the FBI, or when was the first interaction that you had with any, was it the FBI first, or was it local police? When did you have the first contact with law enforcement that indicated to you that they were coming after you criminally for being there on J6?
Let's see, it was June the 28th I got arrested, or July 28th I got arrested in 2021. And July 27th, they called and said I had to turn myself in.
Okay. Did you have any contact before then?
No.
So they went 6 months. You never even knew you were under investigation. You never knew anything. So they just showed up. And did they call you by phone, or did they come to your house, or what?
They called our home.
Really?
And then I had to go to the department and turn myself in.
Police department. But
the local police department
down to Dayton.
Dayton.
Okay.
We had to go to Dayton. But a month before that, real quick, something really strange happened here at our house. We had a Black Hawk helicopter hover over our house, and I'm not talking. I mean, we're talking like feet. Now, I'm an aviator. I'm a private pilot, and I'm an aircraft mechanic. I've been doing that for 40 years now. This thing was a Black Hawk helicopter. It was the sun was going down. Our house was shaking. And then he flew over our house. He did 3 circles with a spotlight, and then flew on down to Dayton and then back to Columbus. I was watching on ADSB exchange, the ADSB, and I could track the helicopter. We were the mission.
Do y'all have any thoughts? And this is an opinion question, because ultimately, I guess you don't know this, no more than I do. Why would they take 6 months almost to even contact you? Not just that. Usually, in most cases, in most criminal investigations, if you're under investigation, somebody's going to come to your house and ask questions and say, we have got you as a suspect, or we've got you under investigation. We're investigating this. Don't go anywhere. We've got more questions. But what you're telling me, you talking about due process. You know, we've been hearing about this due process of all these illegals the last 6 months and all this crap the media's been pushing. It sounds to me y'all didn't have any due process whatsoever, because y'all wasn't even aware you were under criminal investigation, were you, Theresa?
Nope.
No.
So this is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard in my life, that they would show up or call you. How did they get your number, you think?
Well, we found out that my niece and my nephew turned us in.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. I was wondering how in the world they would have got your number. What did
And
they...
we were-
So I take it they wasn't Trump folks.
Yeah.
And remember, they were giving bribes to people for money to turn people in.
Yeah.
Well,
we were turned in on January 9th, 2021. 2 days after January 6th, we were turned in on January 9th.
by your niece and nephew.
Yes. So they were under
Okay.
investigation, like you say,
But
for
y'all were not
something-
aware you were.
Nope,
No.
we had no idea.
We had no idea. I was still going to family functions, and they're sitting there not having a problem with their little secret, what they did.
That's bizarre. All right. Take me from the time you got the call. Tell me what happened from there.
So the next morning, they told us to be at the Dayton Police Department by 9 a.m. We were there at 8:30. We wanted to make sure we weren't late. 2 FBI agents came up to us, very polite, very courteous. They shook our hands, and that they knew who we were. They brought us through security, and then they brought us into a big room. And then one agent looked at us and said, "So this is Mr. Borgerding. I just want to let you know, we don't want to be doing this, but we are being instructed by Washington, D.C., that we're being forced by them to do this. But none of us want to do this." That's what the FBI agent told us. Then they started asking us both questions. Okay, what's an officer supposed to do before they ask you questions? Do you know?
Read you your rights.
Guess what? They
did not.
never read the rights.
They never read you
Never.
your rights, huh?
Never.
Interesting.
So they took her in one room.
In
then
an interrogation room.
Then they took me in an interrogation room.
Interrupt you real quick. One quick question. So they didn't give you an opportunity to get a lawyer or anything?
No.
Okay. Keep going.
No.
Keep going.
So they told me I was free to go, and but I didn't feel like I was free to go. They said, you're not gonna be arrested because you never tried to go in. You just stood there the whole time. So we watched you. You didn't do anything. You just leaned up against that pillar and you didn't do anything. And then you found your wife and then left. And that's all you did. So we're not putting charges against you, but we do have some questions. And so dummy me, I'm just thinking, okay, because I've never been arrested. I've never had to deal with anything like this. I know how things work. But see, I'm being implemented in this January 6th code. I was there. So they should have told me right then, I need a lawyer before they question me.
Agreed.
And
Keep going.
For an hour and a half, I was in there being interrogated. Now, during the investigation, 2 agents came in and said, Mr. Borgerding, we need the keys to your house. We have a search warrant. They showed me the search warrant. And they said, if you do not give us the keys, when you get home, you will have no doors and no windows at all in your home. We will break them down and we'll break out all your windows. So I gave them the keys and I said, I got a dog in there. And they said, don't worry. I said, dog won't bark. Don't shoot my dog. So it's a little Yorkie and all that stuff. And I looked at the list. They wanted to sign, the big sign here. They wanted that. They wanted all the clothes
My
that she wore.
code, all the stuff I wore.
Yeah. And I told them where to find it.
And my phone. They took my phone.
Let me ask
So,
y'all a question
go.
before you go any further. Teresa, I got to ask you a question. I hate for the interruptions. I'm just trying to,
That's-
because
oh,
I
that's
want to
good, yeah.
fill in the blanks for our folks to give them this picture. They sort of identified you because you told me in sort of the pre-interview we did, the little things you were sending me about what happened. They noticed the sign behind you, and that's sort of how they tracked her down. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that I got that right. So they had a picture, and you sent me that picture. I'm going to put that up here for our people to see because that is interesting that they keep going, Richard. Now tell us, now you were basically being told all these things by the police, and they wouldn't give you a lawyer. And so forth. Let me just pull this picture in right here because this is you all on January the 6th, and there's Teresa. You can see her there right there holding the sign. And is that you in the black hat beside her there, Richard, or to the right of her?
We can't see it, but
that
it
picture.
probably is.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. But
Yeah,
that
I
was
was
y'all.
wearing a black hat. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I got you. I see you now. All right, now listen. Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt you. This is already a travesty of justice. Y'all should have sued. Y'all had enough grounds on that alone to sue the freaking universe of the Biden DOJ, even though you couldn't sue the federal government. Somebody should have paid for this. But anyway, keep going. Tell me what they talked to you about in the interrogation room. Go ahead.
So basically, they asked me where I was at, why I went there. Did we have any plans on doing anything like that on the way? And I said, we went there for a peaceful rally. And there's no riot, there's no protest. We went there for a rally. We went, and the reason why we're there, because we're listening for groups. Turned out the groups that were supposed to be there speaking had a permit pulled from them at the last minute. So that's why we didn't see them. And I said, yeah, we had no clue. And I told them about the officers waving us in. And, I said, Teresa didn't open up that gate or anything like that. 2 guys opened the gates. And they said, well, yeah, they kind of agreed with me. And I started turning the tables, asking them questions. And it's like, who started this? And why were police officers allowing us to go in? If you call that restricted grounds, they're opening up the gates and allowing people in. They're like, well, we're going to move on from that. And they would not answer any questions I asked. And so my interview lasted about an hour and a half, just strictly talking about who I was associated with, which we weren't associated with anywhere, what my job was, what I do for a living, my military experience. They knew I was retired military. I did 10 years Navy, 10 years Air Force. So they asked me all about that. And but they realized that, and they said, yeah, you didn't do anything. And then they asked me a bunch of questions about Teresa. Did she know what was going on? And I said, nope, she had no clue. Why did she go in? And it's like, she's never been inside the building. And they invited me in. The police made it look like she's okay. So I'm going to let Teresa take over and she was in the other interrogation room.
So I'm in there, okay?
Okay, keep going, buddy. Keep going.
And,
yeah, you're just being interrogated.
Yeah, I was being interrogated. Okay, so I figure I'm just going to tell the truth, okay? You can't get in trouble if you tell the truth, right?
You hope.
So, yeah, I know, right? So she's going to bring this paper out and show me that was me. And she said, were you in there? I said, yeah, I was in there. I'm going to tell you the truth. I was in there because I was invited to be in there. So then she put the paper back in, and then all they wanted to talk about, they wanted to know about Q. So I educated them what Q really is. And it's awareness for the child sex trafficking that's going around worldwide, okay? And how much money they make off of this. And it's horrifying what they do to these children. You would never sleep at night if I could even tell you a little bit of it. But that's what we talked about in there. And then I got out of the room and there's the shackles. They weren't plastic. They were real shackles and real handcuffs. And I said, are you really going to do this? They said, yeah, we have to arrest you. Okay. So then they prayed me outside. I had to walk on the sidewalk and prayed me outside to the next building. And that's where they booked me.
Richard, did you know this? Were you there when they did this?
No, I was still in the other room. And so I did not know where they took her. But yes, so her feet were shackled, her hands were shackled. And they prayed it over to the federal building, which is right next to
about 8 people in the room when I got booked. They swabbed my mouth. They did my thumbprint. They took my picture. They threw me in a steel cell. And I was in there for hours and hours and hours. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do like Paul did in the Bible. I'm just going to sing. I'm going to sing and sing and sing. So I sang the national anthem probably, I bet it was 50 times. I just sang it constantly. I'm like, I don't care if they don't like it, they're going to hear it.
So, okay. They said that you told me that on July the 28th then, this is all July 28th, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when did you go before a judge? Because let me back up. How long did they keep you in the holding center before they sent you home? Because this is where the story gets a little weird.
I went home that day.
You went home that day.
That evening we got home.
But they sentenced you to home confinement, or told you not to leave your house, right?
Right.
Tell us about that.
Right then, I was on probation, so I had to get a hold of my probation officer. If I had to go anywhere special. And I was taking care of my parents at the time, so they weren't even going to let me do that. But then they extended for Pickwood to go to Fort Laramie.
Let me ask you a question again. I hate to keep interrupting, but these
that's
things
okay.
are coming to my head as you're telling me this. How in the world, and I got another word I want to use, but I got a family show here, so I'm not going to use it.
Yeah.
But how in the world do you get on probation without even going before a judge? Because I'm assuming you never saw a judge in all of this, correct?
You saw the magistrate.
I saw a magistrate on the screen
doing booking,
after my booking.
Okay.
but still no access to a lawyer.
No.
But exactly. You didn't have a counsel. You didn't have no counsel whatsoever. No. Did they offer you a counsel? Did they offer you? Because even the courts
No.
have, like this thug, this murderer today, I was listening to his sentencing. Even the district attorney down there in Utah was like, well, Your Honor, we're going to get him counsel. They're giving counsel. They give counsel to everybody. That's a court. If you can't afford a lawyer, that's part of your Bill of Rights. If you don't have a lawyer, you've got a right to the counsel. Everybody has right to counsel. So you're telling me you had no right to counsel whatsoever?
I had nothing. Okay. Even our friend that went with us, he got arrested because he went inside, and he was very peaceful. He was just reading stuff, but they did not do the Miranda rights on him either, and he couldn't get a lawyer either.
Yeah. So real quick,
Go ahead,
I know
you're fine. We're going to keep you over. Y'all just keep talking. I ain't worried about the time. Okay. I'm the one that sets the time, so we're going to keep you over as long as we can. We're going to take some questions, and I'll put it like this: if the owner of the show don't like it, we're going to fire him. So you keep going.
So when we got to the house after she got booked on it, we were released and go back home. All of our neighbors came up to us, and they're like, "Richard, Teresa, we don't need to know what's going on, but we want to know what's going on, but you don't have to tell us what's going on, but what's going on?" And we're like, "What are you talking about?" So they say, "So we had 14 SUVs lined up the front of your house. Well, I'm not going to say the sound. The city police blocked the roads on each side. 28 FBI agents, full in combat gear, raided our house. 28 of them. We weren't even there. And they made a big deal out of it. They're yelling and screaming, and they're yelling, "Federal search warrant for Therese Borgerding, open up!"
They wanted everybody to hear.
Yeah, they were making a big show of it.
They cut down my Trump flag. They cut down my Q flag, and I didn't even have a Q flag at January 6th. I made a sign, not the flag. They took that. They cut it down in front of everybody. They cut down my Trump flag. They wanted everybody to see it.
Yeah. They didn't. They found all the stuff they were looking for, and they left a list of what they took. They were respectful inside. They didn't trash the house, which I thank them for that.
But you could tell they were here.
They were. There's a little bit messy.
But they went through your computer. They had no right going through your computer.
The computer was not on the search warrant, and they went through my computer. There's all kinds of files, which is no big deal. I'm an aircraft mechanic, so all they see is a bunch of airplanes on my computer. So. But the fact is that they're searching my computer without it being on the warrant. Okay. That's the illegal search.
It is. But let me ask you this, and Richard, you got some friends in the chat room tonight, and one of them said that they ruined you got a company that they ruined, right? And take about a minute, because I want to get back to Therese's story here, but they ruined your business, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah. Because of what they dragged my name through the mud. They dragged both of our names through the mud. All my clients, which I highly respect, nothing against them, but they didn't want my name in their logbook for the aircraft maintenance. Mm-hmm. So basically, I couldn't get any customers. I'm stuck on inventory, but I still got my building, but I'm not making a dime. I'm forking out money, and there's nothing I can do.
And you're disabled, so we have
So I am 100% military disabled, veterans disabled. So I broke my back when I was in the Persian Gulf. So I took, it
but
was
that's
crazy.
our income we live on.
Right, I understand. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll get to that maybe next show we get you on. We're going to talk more about that aspect. But I want to get back to Theresa, because this probation, this in-house probation, Theresa, you said lasted 3.5 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
So and you didn't hear anything from the government. Tell us about that, because what you described to me before the show is absolutely insane, how restricted they kept you to your home for 3.5 years. Tell us about that.
Well, I could leave my home. I just couldn't leave the area. Okay. Like I was taking care of my parents, and they live in a different town. They were going to let me go there. So then finally, my attorney, she got, them to sway that a little bit so I could go that far.
Yeah.
Other than that, I was pretty much on house arrest almost.
And you told me you couldn't even go outside? You couldn't even leave the house?
No, I could during that time, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's when I was on house arrest with the ankle bracelet, I couldn't go outside after I came back from prison.
All right, now let's go to the prison thing. In October,
First, we got to do trial.
y'all did get a trial. Did you actually get a trial? Did they actually give you
a kangaroo court?
Trial was unbelievable.
Tell us about the trial, and tell us the dates of the trial, and tell us what happened there. It's already a kangaroo court, Richard. This is the most bizarre. The Joe Biden administration, every single one of them individuals in that Department of Justice of Joe Biden need to be in jail themselves tonight. Mm-hmm. Every single freaking one of them, including him. This infuriates me, what they did, because I know you all ain't the only ones they did this to. My blood is boiling, and I am asking God right now, Lord, keep a trap over my mouth tonight. Because what Chris wants to say would get his audience going in a second. But this has already been a kangaroo court to me. Yeah. But let's take it to the trial, because you waited 3.5 years before you even went to trial, correct?
Right. Right before the trial, first of all, we had some guy out there taking pictures of a house, and like, we taking pictures of your house is in foreclosure. It is.
We're like, what?
Yeah, they're messing up everything.
Oh, yeah.
We about lost our house. We're broke at this point. So we contacted the lawyer, and I'm telling you, she is a great public attorney. She's a public defender. But she really, most of them you kind of worry about, but she really worked hard for Teresa. But I had to call her up 2 days prior to trial, and it's like, I got a question for you. Is there a lot of homeless camps around D.C.? And she says, yeah, there is. It's like, okay, so is there a problem with us bringing a tent and pitching it with them? And she's like, what are you saying? I says, we don't have any money to stay anywhere in D.C. We have nothing. We're broke. We barely have enough gas money to get there and back. And I said, so we have nowhere to stay, so we're planning either staying in our car or staying in in a homeless camp down there.
But she found them.
But they found an undisclosed location for us to stay in. She's like, oh my gosh, you guys are really that bad? It's like, yes,
yeah,
we
lost that bad.
We lost everything.
We lost our friends. I had 2 new friends. Okay, all the other ones gone.
Yeah. So
family gone.
Yeah. So in the trial, we first started out. They did the jury selection. We're finding out that many jurors were recycled from January 6th case to trial to trial to trial. So several of our January 6th jurors were most likely on other trials. They all live within 5 miles of the Capitol building, and they all voted for Joe Biden. Every single one of them.
None of them saw me. They were not witnesses.
Yeah, but that was the jurors.
Oh, the jurors, yeah.
Yeah. So then we get to, first of all, what first started out, and I'm sitting in the front row when the trial started, and the judge ordered the lawyer, her attorney, to turn over her opening statement to the prosecutors. And she's like, I've been practicing law for 43 years. I've never once was forced to turn my opening statement over to the prosecutor. And then the prosecutors told her to take the First Amendment out of her opening statement. And then there's a big argument between a judge and the attorney. It got heated where the judge's forehead was bright red, and he slammed his fist down and said, one more word out of you're going to be in contempt of court.
No,
your attorney or their attorney?
The judge said that to our attorney.
Yep.
So he screamed at y'all's attorney, but didn't scream at the district attorney for taking the First Amendment out.
Right.
Right.
So that got settled where she was not allowed to mention the First Amendment. She said, this is a First Amendment trial, but yet she had to take all that out, forced by the judge. And
so sad.
So then moving on real quick, the witnesses came through. There's 6 Capitol police officers and 1 Secret Service agent and an FBI agent that were witnesses. Mm-hmm. And on the court of the 6th Amendment, the defendant is required to face their witness. A witness is supposed to actually seen the crime. Mm-hmm. Not one of the witnesses knew who she was. Not one. They did not know who she was.
They went from different court cases to different court cases. Like, how many did they do?
The first one, this was his 36th trial.
For January 6th
as a witness.
cases.
Most of them were, I think the least one was like 12.
And they admitted they didn't know me. They didn't see me.
Yeah.
How can you be my witness?
Well, in this kangaroo justice system that you had under the Joe Biden administration, hell, Mickey Mouse could have been allowed on the witness stand, and Teresa said you were there. They would have they'd have let Mickey Mouse go in. I mean, they'd have let Mickey Mouse be the witness. You're asking the wrong question about how can they do that. They can do it. This is what the Justice Department went to. This is what the Attorney General of the United States allowed. Merrick Garland was behind this. Joe Biden was behind this. And they allowed this travesty of justice to go on because it was not ultimately what probably y'all haven't, maybe you do realize this and maybe you don't, but what I believe, see, you all were pawns. They were going after Trump. They wanted to make the MAGA community pay for 2016, and they did. And they tried to kill him when they couldn't get him in jail on this same kind of trumped up, bogus crap, because he was basically being charged with crimes, related to causing an insurrection and causing this by that Washington, and that was thrown out. When they couldn't get to you all or him, they went to the MAGA people, which makes this even more insidious. All right, now, I want to keep going because I want to get the audience to chime in here with us. We're going to get y'all back because I know we're not going to get all this tonight. But I want you to tell me, when the trial's done, you've got all this bickering and all this travesty of justice. The jury, was you before jury?
Yes, before jury.
And they found you guilty, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
And I was supposed to be a witness, and the prosecutor threatened me if I was going to be a witness, I was going to be arrested.
They threatened him.
They threatened me. Witness intimidation. On the record. They did that on the record. They threatened me. Her lawyer stood up and said, Mr. Borgerding will not be a witness in this trial. And then they looked back at me and said, then he has nothing to worry about.
How did they get away with that? I'll ask that question to the legal expert. Listen, tell me what happens from here, because your life was just beginning. It went from bad to worse from here. Tell us what happened.
Well, here, I'll have to back up a little bit. That we had a visit from a Marine officer, and he says, I can help you make Constitution. I can teach you. We did it ourselves, but I can teach you how to do constitutional notices and affidavits. So, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, this is not sovereign citizen or state nationalist or anything like that. We don't do any of that stuff. But this is actually a legal document, affidavits that we wrote, and we served the judge, and then we sent a copy to the full appeals court. We sent a copy to the whole United States Supreme Court. Matthew Graves, Merrick Garland, they all got copies of this.
All these names got them.
Even the mayor of D.C. got a copy.
Even our sheriff.
And we even sent a copy to our sheriff. Ohio Attorney General received a copy of this. So what happened is stating during the trial all the things that should have been thrown out, should have been mistrialed. I mean, we showed
absolutely should have been.
Gave them plenty of time to reply back, and in the affidavit stating, if you do not reply back, that means you fully agree with everything on this document. And we wanted them called back, file back in an affidavit form, certified mail by U.S. Post Office. They never did that. That's saying that they fully agreed to everything that's on that document, which you can't deny.
They disregarded all of it.
So then we started doing notices, and we had 93 people turning in notices for us, signing notices for us. And that we needed that get done before the sentencing. And so here the judge.
I'm going to jump in real fast. Okay, with these notices, it's not like you have to have it notarized. You just sign it. But we got 93 of them. Most of these people we don't even know.
Yeah.
But we have some good friends that signed it and people that we knew. But I will be honest, not a single family member of mine would sign one. but my one special needs brother did. That's it. I have a big family too.
We'll get to the family part. I want to get to that because you already got some questions about the family in a minute. But let me get this going because we are running out of time a little bit here. But I want to keep you on a little while because I want some questions from the audience. All right, you get found guilty, and this would have been 24, right? 2024. This was just last year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they threw the felony on me 3 years after.
After the fact. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
So this was before Trump took office. But tell us what they sentenced you to because this is weird. And you actually had to report to a federal facility in Philadelphia.
Yes.
To
I
serve
had to
time.
turn myself in to Philadelphia federal prison. And it's a horrible place. I'm going to tell you right now. You can't go outside. It's just horrible. I'll tell you, these illegals, they got it made. My mattress was this thick. Theirs is like that thick. I mean, it was horrible. Everything, there were mice in there. I saw them running around, or cockroaches. The food is beans and rice. That's all you got was beans and rice. And I had nothing. I didn't even have commissary because they just all got their commissary when I came, so I had to wait 2 weeks before I could even get that.
And I'm assuming this was a women's prison in Philadelphia, correct?
It is, but I had men in there.
You had men in there?
Confused men.
They had transgenders in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Get us to where you got out. I'm going to put the picture up because the picture you sent me was the day that you actually got out of prison. And I'll let you go ahead and just finish this up. Bring us from the time you got sentenced to the time you got home, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, well, I got booked, and I said goodbye to my husband.
Richard, how did you feel? How did you feel? Let me ask you this. Now, I interrupt y'all, and I shouldn't.
That's okay.
I'm
That's fine.
gonna get creamed about that. But I've just got so many questions that are coming to my mind as you're talking. Richard, how did you feel when you heard your wife was going to prison?
I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated. I'm thinking, this is a sweet person who dedicates her life to help out others. She's a very strong Christian woman, and she does so much for the community. She does so much for everybody. She pours her heart out to everybody, and now they're sending her off to prison. And the judge is talking first 8 years, 8 to 12 years. And then he pulls out these notices that he's receiving and then affidavits, and then he said, I need a recess.
That's why I got less.
That's why she only got 50 days, because he realized that we backed him into a corner.
But he had to give me something to put a feather in his hat.
So you were facing 12 years in prison?
Right, correct.
Okay, tell us what happened. Go ahead.
Okay, so I get booked in there, and it's a horrible place. It's horrible. And I've got some crazy roommates, man.
So you were in a facility with a cellmate?
Oh yeah, I had a cellmate all through the whole thing. I mean, you couldn't go outside.
Her cellmate was an international drug trafficker.
One of them was. The other one, I don't know what she did. I didn't ask her.
So.
Did you ever feel in danger at the facility?
Did I feel danger? Well, I saw fights and stuff there, yeah.
Did anybody target you? Did you have anybody like physically come after you personally?
No, nobody came after me.
I'm just curious.
I mean, I didn't have commissary, and they're all like, hey, the word was out. I was writing a book, okay, about January 6th. They all knew I was January 6th, and they were all supportive for me, to tell you the truth. And some of these people, I do believe they're sentenced there unlawfully. Some of these people did not need to be there.
Joan Bell, I have to throw her name out.
Joan Bell.
She was the Right to Life protester. She got arrested many times. She was put in there for a couple years and got pardoned. But Joan Bell
was that the grandmother? Was that the grandmother?
Joan
she
was
a grandmother, but that's not the grandma.
Yeah, no, she's not the grandma. But Joan was been there already for 2 years.
She protested against abortions at the abortion clinic.
Yeah,
so she was there too.
Really, yeah, she's a sweetheart. She helped out Teresa a lot while she was there.
Good. I had a handful of people that really loved on me. They said, "Come over, let's see if we can move your cell closer to ours." So somehow I got over there, and they had a Bible study group, so we all got together, and they really helped me out.
But while I'm not here at home, I'm devastated. I got people like Jason. Jason helped me out. the Ohio Patriot Alliance there in Dayton, I got to give a big shout out to them, because without the Ohio Patriot Alliance, I mean, they were making sure I'm taking care of myself. I was losing weight. I was growing my face out. My hair was getting long.
And that's not like them.
I was not taking care of myself because I was petrified. I was so worried about Teresa every single day. It was devastating for me, and I was losing my business. I pretty much shut down my business at this point. So,
Yeah.
but here I'm sitting there thinking what I'm going through is terrible, but I couldn't even imagine what Teresa was going through. And she can't even really describe it in great detail here on this, because you probably wouldn't need to hear it, because this is a family show.
This is a family show. Yes, it is. But that's
Yeah.
okay. Look, you've got a right. You both have a right to be very bitter. And I don't see you all tonight. And this is what I have a lot of respect. Jason Rankin's a great guy. And I respect Jason. We got to know each other in Dayton when he came to see us at the conference. But, you know, I listened to you guys tonight. You've got a right to be bitter, but you're not. And that tells me a lot about you all. I know that this has been rough. Now, you got out. You told me, Teresa, December the 6th, right before Christmas, is when they
Yes.
released you, correct? And
Correct.
you spent 40 days out of a 50-day sentence.
Correct.
Okay.
And then I went on house arrest.
So are you still under house arrest tonight?
No. I was on house arrest from December 9th to January 22nd.
When
then I
Trump
got
pardoned everybody, that was
Right.
you were one of the ones that he pardoned on January the 22nd.
Yeah.
You got a picture of your pardon?
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead and show us that. Folks, if you're listening to us tonight and you're just in, we're talking to J6ers, and I call them political prisoners because there you go. Look at that.
Yeah, there's a pardon.
There's my pardon.
Look at that. Richard and Therese Borgerding, we're so grateful to have them tonight. They're telling their story. I've got my first question. If you got a question for him, put it in the house, because we'll ask him, because we're going to keep him on. Y'all ain't got nothing to do tonight, do you? You Ohioans don't go to bed early.
No, we're boring.
Y'all don't go to bed early like we Southerners,
We're
right?
boring.
You know,
Yeah.
we're boring too. I'm boring too. I'm going to get up to see y'all in person soon. I want to come
Yeah.
see y'all and fellowship with you. But I do want to ask you a question, and I know that I've already seen one question in the chat. How hurtful was this, and have you made any reconciliation with the family members that turned on you? And has there been any effort of reconciliation from the family members to you to make this right? Because it seems to me that niece and nephew must not have liked y'all, but they sure didn't like Trump. And I think ultimately this is about Trump. But what's your thoughts on the family?
I just think they're scared.
Of what?
They're scared and they're embarrassed of me.
Embarrassed of
But
what?
nobody would ask. It took at least 3 years before one person would ask what really happened and want to know our story.
How many?
So
3 years before anybody. Have you talked to any other media? Has any other media reached out to you?
No.
well, they have
No.
reached out, but we wouldn't
We won't
take
talk
it
to them.
because I don't want a smear campaign.
No, I'm glad for you're here
Oh,
tonight.
trust
me.
You're in very solid, sound, safe territory here tonight.
Yeah.
You're among friends.
You
I can.
are first. You are first.
Well, I feel honored. We're grateful to have you tonight, and I am
We
grateful.
gave speeches like at churches and constitutional groups. We've been giving speeches to people like that.
Yeah.
Have y'all given any thought about filing any kind of legal? You mentioned your book, Teresa, but I do want to ask you: have y'all thought about suing the government? I mean, I don't know if you can. I don't know who you would sue at this point, but look, this was a violation of your civil rights. And Samuel out there, he's right. They treated y'all like terrorists. You know what burns me up about this? Murderers, cold-blooded murderers don't get 12 months or 12 years in prison these
Yeah.
days. Drug
Exactly.
dealers don't even get 12 years. People that burn cities down, those Antifa, Black Lives Matter people that burned this nation to the ground for 3 months in the summer of 2020, they didn't even get 6 months. They didn't even get 60 days.
Right.
But they treated you all like a common terrorist. And the terrorists that we do arrest in this country, not under President Trump, but in the past, they get a slap on the wrist and sent home, sent back to their countries, and they never pay for the damage and the ugliness and the horror that they do to these the people and these illegals that come in. It's changed now, but under Joe Biden, an illegal could rape, murder, maim, kill, steal, and whatever, and get a pat on the back and get a cell phone and $500 to keep doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And then y'all sit here and y'all have lost your life, haven't you? I mean, this has changed your life, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even though that she got pardoned, it's not over yet, because everybody looks at her that she got a slap on the hand. Oh, you got away with it. And now here we are, 9 months. Tomorrow's my birthday, so I have to thinking but here we are, 9 months out of her getting pardoned. We get cars parked across the street, sitting there with the engine running for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, as they never get out. We don't know who these people are, but we get different cars parked out there. We're still being watched.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't have
For sure we are.
I don't have a clue on who these people are.
Yep.
We're being watched. Nobody will do anything about it. And it's just one of those things that we have to deal with. Our front porch is fully enclosed with flags.
We're followed all the time. We know that.
But our whole front yard, our front porch is enclosed just so we get some privacy.
We have hate mail. We've had all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Where does the hate mail? What's the hate mail say? What is the hate mail saying to you?
I don't even know right
How
now.
do they get y'all? Let me ask you this: How did they get y'all's address through the? I mean, was that made public? Were y'all doxxed and all?
It's made public. And if you just Google her name, Therese Borgerding.
You'll have all kinds of stuff.
And you'll think that this is the world's worst terrorist sitting right next to me right now. You'll think that and this is still today. Why isn't Google saying, okay, they've been pardoned, it's time for them to get on to life?
Oh, they're not going to do that, Richard.
Oh, no, they're not doing that. And we're still getting attacked by the left.
I got people that scrape my car and they write on my car and
In your community?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, our car's been keyed and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
they wrote stuff, loser, all kinds of stuff on my car.
Yeah. And this is a part of, how do we move on from now? It's, when you're talking about lawsuit, yes, we are planning on coming up with some sort of lawsuit. There's a lot of class action suits out there right now.
You need to.
We may do a different way, but we have to play our cards right to be able to do the right way and be able to process it properly because, we're not there. We're not there yet. I know that Congress is putting another January 6th committee together. And I think Jim Jordan is going to be the chairman on that one. So, but yeah, we're just trying to figure out how can we get moved on with our life. And, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Richard, has your business recovered from any of this?
No, it's done.
It's worse. They even took one of his hangers away.
Yeah.
Who's they? The government?
Well, the county.
The county.
Yeah, so they made up some.
And we pay our rent on that all the time.
Yeah, but my business is I got everything crammed in one building. I used to have 2 big hangars. Now I'm crammed in one hangar. It's done.
We haven't seen our grandchildren. We aren't allowed to see our grandchildren.
No.
Liz Goldman has got a question for y'all. Or to your knowledge, are there still people who were charged that are in jail for this sham still? Was there people that you saw in Philadelphia that were fellow J6ers, or have y'all are aware of any other J6ers that have not been released yet?
I was the only one when I was there, but before me, there was a couple others that were there.
Yeah.
In Philadelphia, at the facility.
Yeah,
okay.
They got out.
Yeah.
Have you been in contact with other fellow J6ers? Anybody around the country that has heard your story or know about you all?
Yeah.
Yeah, three of them.
And we know their story too.
We know their story too. And the one was on the front side of the Capitol building, which is the Washington Monument in the back. And what he stated is that they were there peacefully. Everybody was being peaceful. And before an officer is allowed to fire onto a crowd, they have to warn you. And he stated that they did not warn. Next thing you know, they're getting rubber bullets, they're getting stinger grenades and flash grenades, flashbangs being thrown out into the crowd rapidly. And next thing you know, he was right there by one of the bike racks, and several officers pushed the bike rack down on him. His hands were still in his pocket because it was cold that day. He wasn't doing anything, and they charged him with several counts of assaulting an officer.
He lost his job too.
Yeah. There was a lady, anyways, she was on the other. She was on the non-restricted area. They were in a huddle praying, and an officer reached over, grabbed her by the scarf, and yanked her into the restricted area, knocking her down. Well, her husband came in to help protect her, and they hurt him. They were both arrested, and they went through the same trial type thing that Teresa did, and they were also thrown into prison. They were both in their 70s and both had serious health issues.
And then we gave speeches on this, and another guy gave us his story during that speech, and they just busted in his house, and they had guns, and at gunpoint pointed at him to kneel down. I mean, they had their kids were there. They took them out of bed and everything.
Their children were in their underwear outside on their knees with their hands on top of their heads.
It's peaceful.
And he was peaceful. Yeah. And what they did to him his story is just unbelievable also. Just
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah.
Teresa, has this affected you physically?
Yes.
I mean, you don't have to go into detail about it, but I just felt led to ask that. This has had to wear on you physically as well as emotionally, correct?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it did. It's very emotional with my family.
Oh, it would devastate me. I mean, look, I get it. I can only imagine.
So that was the worst for me, to tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. Prison wasn't even anything compared to what I had to go through with basically being shunned.
Is the lawsuit, the class action lawsuit that y'all are thinking about, is this going to involve any of the officers that were involved in your arrest, or is it mainly going to go after, and Stephen, your friend, and I'll agree with him, Google needs to be put on the hot seat for what they've done. You know, President Trump filed a $15 billion lawsuit today against the New York Times, and I think it's time that people start dealing with these fake news outlets, and Google needs to pay a price for allowing some of this trash to go on these search engines without clarification. And slander is a crime. I don't know if people understand this. You cannot slander people without price. That is not something you can do legally. And when you do that, you should pay a high price, and you better make doggone sure that when you're doing it, that the piper is going to be paid at some point. It may not be paid down here, but there's going to be an eternal judge one day, and that is one of the most worst things I think about social media that I've seen is the ability for people with no character, complete demons, to go out there and just say anything they want to about somebody, no context, no proof, just throw it on the wall, and it destroys people's lives. They don't care. These people that have done this to y'all, they don't care tonight. The Biden administration don't care. Merrick Garland don't care. The DOJ of the Biden years don't care. And I love Cash Patel. I think they're doing a great job. But I think that we need to have a full disclosure, and there needs to be this J6 committee, which was a joke. I think we need to form another one. And this time let the Republicans run it and let the mega conservatives run it, and let's get to the real truth about J6.
We need vindication.
Y'all need vindication. You do?
Yes.
You do?
No, we didn't.
No, yeah, and I see some PTSD with her. And, you know, here I'm thinking I'm military, and I've been in the combat zones and all that stuff. And you always think that PTSD only deals with military. What she went through is just, I can see signs of PTSD with her, and it's just devastating.
So if I don't answer a question right away, sometimes that's probably why.
Yeah.
Corey Aguilar's got a great question, and it's sort of, I was thinking about this. Good to see Corey. She says, has this experience made you more hesitant now to attend future political events? That is an excellent question. Would y'all, given the opportunity to do this again, after what you've been through, would you do it again?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. We got our First Amendment. They can try to tear us down, but they're not going to do it.
Because you know what? The God of the Most High is always protecting us.
And what got us through all this is that we had the armor of God on us, okay? We had the armor of God. There's no way we could have gotten through this without God. With Jesus protecting us every step of the way, even though, we were shoved in a corner. What they did to us is unbelievable. Even still today, we don't go anywhere. We just hang out in our house. It feels like we're still in prison right now. Honestly,
we do.
We've been doing this for 4 years. We still don't go anywhere. And that's that. We're just stuck here. We have no money. Luckily we saved
better now than we were.
We are better now. We did save our house and all that stuff, so we got that taken care of. But yeah, it's been what started to take care of our health also. So we are working out all the time. So we do hit.
It's good for the mental health.
Yes. So there's a YMCA close by that we do work out at. So that's the only time we go outside and to the grocery store. That's it.
How long y'all been married?
We just went over 14 years.
Okay. Well, congratulations. Yeah. Did somebody gave the goods up on you, Mr. Richard, today's birthday?
Smallest. I'll be 60 tomorrow.
Well, me and you're the same age. I would sing to you, but I want you to come back on the show again. I don't want my singing to cause you to
That's okay.
never come back again. But happy birthday tomorrow. Listen, I want to say this to y'all. We're going to wrap it up. I don't have any more questions. But I do want to say this tonight. I just never haven't talked to y'all before until tonight. I want to thank Jason Rankin again for working this out. He knows that he's got utmost respect. It was so good meeting him and his wife. Mm-hmm. And but Jason is the one that brought us together. But I really wasn't sure what to expect tonight. But I have to tell you, you all have showed me. Y'all are a couple that could be very bitter, very angry. You have a right to be angry. Your due process and your civil rights was violated, but y'all are resolved, but you're not bitter. And I want to tell you, I know this much. We're fellow believers. We're not just friends now. We're not just people you've been on my podcast. We don't let you. We have a saying around here on the McFiles. You're a guest for about 10 minutes on our show. Once you pass that 10-minute mark, you're family to us, and you're McFiles family, and you're McFiles friends. But we're believers. We're both, you and I, are believers in Jesus. Mm-hmm. And I think that I see your faith coming through in this more than anything else, which I respect the greatest. It's what made me hurt so bad for the death of Charlie Kirk. And I do want y'all to take about 3 or 4 minutes real quick and tell us your thoughts about Charlie Kirk and his death, because the same forces that did this to you ultimately were behind his death. Yeah. And have we gotten to this place that we can't even disagree and protest peaceably without our lives being in jeopardy, like what happened to Charlie? And he wasn't even protesting. All he did was trying to get these kids to talk to him. Yeah. And they killed him. And I think that it bears saying tonight that we as Christians need to realize that there is a target on our back. And we don't need to fear. And I'm proud to hear y'all are not going to back down from going back to political events. Y'all don't need to hide. Y'all need to face this head on. I'm praying for you guys. But what were your thoughts on Charlie Kirk? And we'll wrap this up.
Well, I've seen many of his videos. I mean, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of his videos. And the thing is, what he did was he would bring out the opposing people that comes to him, and he treats them with such respect, so much love and respect. And he listens to them and then gives his side. A great man. I've got a friend, and he worked for Turning Point. Actually, I listened to him talking last Saturday, and this devastated him because he knew Charlie. And it's just so sad that we can't use our First Amendment right and talk peacefully and be able to gather peacefully. And right now, like you say, you question if we're going to go to any more events, because there is a target on our back. Every one of us that has a target on our back. Well, if you're in a foreign country, I've been in many foreign countries, and I'm a Christian. And I guarantee you, some of the Muslim countries I've been into, and I love the Muslim people. They're great people. I met a lot of them. They're nice people, great people. But still, I had a target on my back. Jesus had a target on his back. And the thing is, though, we have the cloak of armor, and we got to get through life that way. But when I look at what happened to Charlie, it is devastating. It is devastating, but look what happened the past couple of days. Everybody prayed. Not only Republicans, there are thousands and thousands of Democrats even came out and prayed.
And these young people, that's our future. Mm-hmm. And he was connecting with them.
Yes, he was
teaching them.
Yeah.
So... It was a very sad day.
It was, yeah.
Well, guys, I'm going to tell you, it's been a deep pleasure. And look, we got a Bible conference this weekend in Tulsa. We're going to be over there. and then we're going to be back. And as we get into October, I'm going to get y'all back for part 2 of this. I'm sure that we didn't cover every single thing, and I want to do that and talk with you again. Hope to get to see you in Ohio when I come up soon. And we will be in touch. But I want to thank you all for being with us tonight, and I hope that our audiences. I tell you, a lot of the reason we ain't got a lot of questions, and I've just noticed some of the chat. I think a lot of people are just speechless. They don't even know what. Yeah. I don't think they've heard a story like we've heard tonight, and I'm sure that your story is very similar to every J6er that's out there that got arrested and have went through some things. Yeah. It cannot happen again. And I'm not talking about the J6. We got a right to protest. We got a right to speak our mind.
Peacefully,
but the way the government handled this, and this Department of Justice that was weaponized against a movement because it disagreed with it politically, cannot happen again to this country. It just can't. And something's going to have to be done. And my personal opinion is every J6 committee member needs to be in jail tonight. Joe Biden needs to be in jail. Merrick Garland needs to be in jail. I'm sick of hearing the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, all of them. I'm sick of hearing this due process argument about these illegals. Y'all's due process was trampled underfoot with no remorse whatsoever. So to the Dems that are listening to me tonight, don't bring your due process crap here. Don't bring your, this is both sides. No, the Republicans don't do stuff like this to the left. We don't trample under the constitutional rights. We bend over backwards to make sure people's rights are followed and the Constitution's followed. This has been a total travesty. If I've ever heard a total travesty of justice from an individual, y'all, this tonight, I mean, I'm speechless, to be frank with you. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. In a couple of days, I'm going to be sitting around. I'm going to be thinking about this interview tonight. And I'm going to get on a late show. And Chris is going to let it all hang out, as only Chris McDonald can do. I might lose my show. I'm probably going to lose my show over this one later. I can't do it right now because I'm trying to keep my composure. No, I'm trying to keep my composure right now because what I want to say and what I need to say are two different things. But I want to thank y'all for being with us tonight. I'm going to say goodnight to these folks, and please stay in touch with us and listen.
Teresa has one more thing.
Go ahead, Teresa. Go ahead. Absolutely. No, go ahead. Absolutely.
Okay, I'd like to give a shout out and a thank you to everybody that signed my constitutional notices and everyone that wrote, all my friends that wrote me in prison. I deeply appreciated that. And you know how much grateful I felt with everybody doing that. And I'd like to give a Bible scripture, Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened. Do not be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So let them hear the truth. Let them hear the truth. And whatever they try to do to me again, I don't fear them at all.
And Jesus teaches us forgiveness, and we are forgiving. We're not going to forget.
Well, you need, look, forgiveness is one thing. Your rights have been violated.
Yes.
Right.
And there needs to be, the reason that you need to deal with this is that you don't want this to happen to other people that protest.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. It's not about vengeance. It's not about getting back at people. There's nobody to get back at this point. But I will tell you all this as I close, and maybe we'll talk about this next time. I think this is a warning to all of us tonight that if these Dems get back in power, we're going to see a repeat of this. And I don't think that they're not going to be prisoners anymore. They're going to be casualties. I mean, from their end, they're going to kill us. Look, if what has happened to Charlie Kirk has not told us anything this week, they don't care if they kill us physically. They don't want a discussion. They don't want discourse. They don't want this kumbaya. They want anybody that does not bow down to their ideology out of the way. And that is what has been illustrated. Y'all are fortunate that nothing.
But they're not going to shrink us, and they're not going to shut us up.
They're not going to shut us up.
We're just going to be louder, and we're going to keep going.
No, not a bit.
Honor God on.
Not a bit. Yep. Thank you all for being with us tonight. May the Lord bless you both.
Very much.
I'll be in touch. I'll be in touch. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Richard and Therese Borgerding. Did I get it right the second time? Borgerding. I did it right.
Borgerding.
Borgerding. But good to see y'all tonight. I know. I'm playing with you. Listen, God bless you, and we'll be in touch. Thank you all. Put some power in that house for them tonight. We're so grateful that they could be with us. And I'm going to come back over here and say a few things before we leave. I tell you, folks, that's the most riveting interview we've had this year, probably. Good grief. You know, it's funny. While they were talking, I got a software here, and I got a hacking notice in my computer that came up in the middle of the show, and it's interesting how certain things just trigger certain other things. And I'm speechless, folks. I'm just speechless. I don't even know what to say at this point. We want to thank them for being with us tonight. And Harriet, you're right. We need to pray that the Democrats never get back in. But we need to vote too. We need to vote too. We need to vote as well. That's the thing. Dennis Floyd says, my son was there. A couple of weeks later, they came to his house asking questions, went all through the neighborhood asking questions, told him not to leave town, that they may be back, lives in Detroit. Dennis, I'm wondering, did they ever come back, though? That's the thing. Did they ever come back? And I didn't see the questions in Facebook, and I'm sorry. I should have asked them. Roger, your question, are they willing to testify against the former government? I'm sure they are. We'll save these. Gail, I think they sort of answered that. Have you forgiven your family members who turned you in? I sense that they have. I don't think that she's happy about it. I mean, it hurt her. It devastated her. It would hurt me. It would devastate any of us. I think they've forgiven them. Now, reconciliation may be a whole different ball of wax, but I didn't take away from this that they were angry. It's hurt them. It's hurt them. But next time they're on, I'll get to that. We'll get to the family part. But I think that it's fair enough to say that that's a couple tonight that knows Jesus. They know Jesus. They could have come on here cussing and raising you know what, and we're going to get this and that. They didn't do that. This is a precious, precious couple. And I think any of us in their shoes, folks, I don't know if I could have been as calm about it. I'd have been, no telling. Woo! Mercy. Mercy, mercy, mercy. Listen, we're grateful that you're with us on this Tuesday night. I was not going to come back on. James Akers, I tell you what I'm going to do. I want to get to James because we've had breaking news tonight. The Tyler Robinson was charged, and I just want to do. We're not going to do any videos, anything like that. I'll save that for Thursday night. Actually, we won't be with you Thursday. We'll be traveling. We'll save it till next time, but we may have a special Wednesday afternoon show tomorrow because, again, we're going to be leaving Thursday for Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've got this Bible conference coming up, and I encourage you all that can be with us out in Tulsa to come be with us if you can. It's going to be a great week. I'm doing the outlines already, and it's going to be some deep, deep teaching over the weekend. We're going to be dealing with the fall feast. We're going to be dealing with the rapture of the church, the revelation of Christ. We're going to be dealing with anti-Semitism. And we're gonna be talking about a lot of things this weekend that are deep, and these sessions are going to be great. We're going to have lunch Saturday afternoon after the morning session. We're going to have communion Saturday night, and it's just going to be a good time of fellowship and a time to meet some of you for the first time, to say hello to you in person. And my heart is just torn to pieces tonight, folks, of this nation, and how bad we have fallen away from the principles. It's not just the Constitution, but the principles of the Bible and the principles of godliness. And when a nation starts losing its justice system, and its justice system becomes so corrupt as the one before this one had become, nobody's safe. Nobody is safe. And even these judges now, some of these lower court judges are still trying to hinder the work of God and the things that President Trump's trying to do for the nation, and they're going to continue to do so. I look at Congress tonight. Congress could step in and stop a lot of this. These judges can be impeached by Congress. They won't do it. Congress will they're not going to do it. And so all we can do is pray and hope that this thing gets worked out. I really do. Unfortunately, that young man paid for this toxic atmosphere with his life a week ago tomorrow night. We could go tomorrow. And anyway, we got James Akers coming up in about a half hour. Don't go far, but we're going to let you go for now. and we'll talk to you a little bit later tonight. Did you enjoy this couple, Richard and Therese Borgerding? They were so good, and grateful that they could be with us tonight. And good to see Cheryl, Jason. Jason, good to see you, buddy. Thank you for introducing us to these folks. I really appreciate that, and thank you so much. And Samuel, you're right. We do need to get people involved in government, good people. We do need to get good people in government. I'll agree with that. I sure will. It is sad of the injustice, folks, but I want to say it again. This is what you get when the Democrats are in power. This is what you get when they're in power. And I got to say this to the people of New York City. If you think this story shocked you tonight, you put this Islamic Marxist in power over your city, as you're stupidly about to do. As you're stupidly about to do. You're going to find out that what Richard and Therese Borgerding experienced is mild compared to what's coming to the Big Apple. Compared to what's coming to the Big Apple, this is mild. But you got stupid people out there, and I hate to say that tonight. I hate to use that term, but you've got moronic, stupid, blind people voting for Marxist and Islamist. And we can scream and yell about the system all we want to. It's on us. It is on we the people to make sure these people don't get power, but we're not doing it. We're not voting. We're not getting involved in our government. I see this self-righteous, smug attitude out there. Well, we don't need to get involved in politics. I don't care about you getting involved in politics, but I'm going to tell you something right now. You better get involved in your government, and we better start voting, and we better start being aware of who's ruling our counties and our cities and our states. And ultimately, if they're in the backyard of your city, they're going to wind up in D.C. eventually. And they're coming after your kids. They're coming after your kids and my grandkids. All righty. I got to stop because I'm getting hot under the collar. As I said, I'll probably listen to this a few days from now, and then I'm going to blow my top one night, and my poor wife's going to have to grab my grab my neck, put her hands in my cheek, say, honey, calm down. I love you. Calm down. It's make us mad, folks. I swear, it's pitiful. One final thought before I leave, and I'll be back in a little bit with James. We're going to talk about the killer of Charlie Kirk and the charges against him tonight. For 30 minutes, we're not going to be on. I'm not going to have a late, long show tonight. But I do want to get James's take on the charges today. I would get him on now, but I want to separate the two shows. I don't want his to interfere with what we just did. I want to tell the Dems something tonight. You left-wing demons, you demonic party of death, you demonic party that was behind this. Every single one of you need to be in a federal prison tonight, rotten for the rest of your natural-born lives. Do not bring your argument to us on the right that we're not giving due process to illegal aliens. I am so sick of hearing that term. I am so sick of hearing the fact that we're the party of the hate rhetoric that calls people to kill Charlie Kirk. You are demonic liars. You are nothing but demonic, deranged lunatics and liars. I'm praying for your soul as a child of God, as a Christian, as a lover of Jesus. I pray for your soul. I pray that somehow or another you have a Damascus Road experience. But I'm tired of your argument and trying to lay all this stuff on the very people that you have done wrong. These people, their lives have been ruined because of what the Democrat Party and Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden and Merrick Garland and this corrupt DOJ did 4 years ago. Their lives will never be the same. And, you know, I wish them the best. I hope they get justice in the courts, but I wouldn't be putting a lot of faith in that. I wouldn't be putting a lot of faith in anything in the courts right now. There will be retribution one day. It will, if it's not done down here on this earth, there will be eternal retribution for it all, because God has seen it all. God has seen it all. And I respect them for the fact that I sense tonight that that's where they've put this in his hands. That's why I think we've had a wonderful, wonderful guest tonight, a guest of honor, and we're praying for them, and I ask you to do the same. May the Lord bless you. Listen, I'll be back here with James Akers a little bit, just a few minutes. May the Lord bless you. Take care out there. Thank you for the new guests we've had tonight. Be sure to subscribe. Come on back and be with us sometime. Anytime you'd like, we'd love to have you. We got so many ways to treat you here that you're bound to like some of them. I can tell you that. But have a good night, everybody. We'll see you back here in a little bit.